Chapter 17. Jim, along with a few passengers and crew members, ran to the deck to see why Mike had shouted. As one of the crew rushed off to inform the captain, Mike drew Jim aside. "It was Jury," he whispered. "He tried to attack me. I ducked, he lost his balance and went overboard. I called for help, but it was too late. He disappeared in the waves." Jim put arm around his friend's shoulders and held him firmly. "Get a hold of yourself," he said. "Whatever you do, don't tell who it was or how it happened. If you blurt out the whole story of why Jury was after you, you'll find yourself escorted off the boat and into a Confederate prison for sure." Mike couldn't help shivering. "I should have acted faster. I should have tried to save him. No matter how much I hated him, I didn't mean to kill him." "You didn't kill him. You yelled for help, and you can't be blamed for what happened." As the captain's second mate came striding across the deck, Jim whispered, "Remember, you can't deliver your friend's watch to his sister if you're in prison. First thing off, the guard will snatch it." Mike gulped. He had 2 pocket watches to deliver, not just one, and Jim was right. What good would it do to Jury or anyone else if Mike blurted out the entire story? As the boat's officers arrived, the captain immediately assumed authority. "I understand your name's Michael Kelly. You were hired in Jefferson City as a deckhand?" "Yes, sir," Mike answered. Out of respect, he pulled off his cap and clutched it to his chest. "You seem to be the only one who saw the incident take place," the captain said. "I'd like to hear your story." Mike took a deep breath. "I was coiling rope, sir. Someone passed me, and next thing I knew, I heard a splash in the water. I saw a head come up there," Mike pointed, "and then again there. He came up a second time. I realized what was happening, so I yelled 'man overboard.' 2 of the crew came running. One of the crew spoke up. 'Julie and I were on hand, Captain. We didn't see anything. I wondered at the time if the lad could have heard a fish jump. Imagine he saw someone. River's full of old floating logs and who knows what else." The captain turned to the second mate. "Do a passenger check. Account for every person. Have one of your personnel do the same to the crew." To Mike, he said, not unkindly, "You did the right thing by calling for help, so there's no need to look troubled. For now, I believe you have a work assignments to take care of." His glance rested briefly on each of the other crew members present, so the group around Mike quickly dispersed. Jim paused long enough to get a grip on Mike's shoulder and whispered, "Good job. Everything's going to work out just fine. You'll see." Less than an hour after the accident, Mike was back to work. While polishing the lamps fitting on the top deck, he tried to sort out his thoughts. Jury was a Confederate soldier. If he'd been killed in battlefield, would I have cared? Not a whit. So why do I feel guilty that he drowned? If Jury had gotten his hands on me, I might have been the one to go overboard. It all made sense. Yet Mike couldn't ease the heavy feeling in the pit of his stomach. If it weren't for him, Jury wouldn't be dead. But as Mike clapped to the routine of work on the riverboat and soothed the slow, sluggish pace of the giant paddle wielder, he began to forget his troubles. During the next 2 days, he managed to share a few pleasurable and relaxing moments with Jim. They talked about old times in New York City, friends that were left behind, and the open space of the West, which they'd both come to love. "I've heard even further west there's a range of mountains that reach up to the sky," Mike said. Jim grinned very. "Yes, some of those mountains are filled with gold and silver nuggets, just lying there for the taking." Mike scoffed and poked Jim's shoulder. "If that's so, then why aren't you out there filling bags of nuggets and living like a king?" Jim laughed. "I'll go there someday," he said, "when my days on the river are over. And when that's going to be, I'll know when it's time." On the 3rd day, Seth interrupted their talk by hitting the cabin door with a fist and shouted, "We're fixing to dock soon at Lexington. All hands, topside, ready for work." Mike knew the landing routine by heart, having practiced it when the boat was docked at Boonville and Glasgow. He stood at the prow, port side, clutching a thin line of the monkey ball fastened to one end of the weight. The other end of the line was firmly attached to the heavy ropes used to wrap around the cleats of the dock so the boat could be moored. As the ship approached the dock, Mike expertly twirled the monkey ball, slinging it from the waiting dockhand, and caught it and began to reel in the mooring line. At the stern of the ship, Jim stood prepared to do the same as soon as the stern began to swing toward the dock. Mike ran to his next job, helping lower the long gangplank down over the port side. With a bump, the boat docked and securely moored, and the gangplank dropped into place. For a moment, Mike enjoyed watching some of the passengers depart, but his attention was caught by the crowd on the landing who'd come to the steamboat's arrival. 2 women rushed open-armed to greet a friend, and before the crowd closed together, Mike saw a handful of Confederate soldiers standing along the bank. Some carefully scrutinized passengers leaving the ship. Others searched the deck. Mike quickly stepped back, using the swarm of passengers on the ship as a shield. He caught the starboard side of the boat, where he knew he'd find Jim. "Tell me, you know the river. Could Jury have made it to shore?" Mike asked. "Only if he was a good, strong swimmer." Mike glanced over his shoulder. "There's half a dozen Confederate soldiers on the landing. It's obvious they're searching for someone. I have a feeling it's me." "Jury among them?" "I don't know." Jim slowly shook his head. "I don't understand. Why would Jury care so much about that watch?" "For one thing, he's got a fierce amount of pride," Mike said, "and to make matters worse, there's a bet involved." He brightened. "Still, I feel better, thinking he might be alive. I didn't like to think I was responsible for his death." "You're a strange one, Mike," Jim said. "If it was me Jury was after, I'd feel better knowing he was down at the bottom of the old muddy." "I can't risk staying on the Mary Bell, since he might be still looking for me," Mike said. "I have to leave the boat, cut across to St. Joe." "I'll go with you," Jim said. "You can't leave your job." Jim grinned. "I'll never get around to finding all that gold and silver if I stay on the river. Besides, you'll be safer if you got someone to travel with." "What about Seth? How's he going to fill our jobs?" "That's no problem. He won't have any trouble finding deckhands here in Lexington." Mike glanced over the chattering groups of passengers. "I have to leave now. My only chance to escape is if I hide among the passengers." "Then now it is," Jim said. He raced Mike to the cabin. They snatched up their possessions and headed for the main deck. Mike pulled his cap low over his head as he and Jim elbowed their way out to the middle of the crowd. Mike crept behind a plump woman dressed in full hoop skirts, thankful that she was a good shield from the soldiers. The woman stopped to greet friends, but Mike was able to keep under the cover of a swarm of passengers. At the first opportunity, he scooted into a nearby alley and waited. Sooner or later, Jim would find him. It was only a few minutes. Jim leaned against the wall as he said, "You were right about the Rebs. As I head toward the gangplank, I heard them saying your name. The minute where all the passengers from Lexington have gone ashore, they're probably going to search the Mary Belle. Was Jury with them? I don't know." "We need to get away from here," Mike said. Jim smiled. "Your leg's a lot better, isn't it? You can move much faster now than you could before." Mike was hopeful. "It's a good thing, because I figure we got at least 80 miles or so to travel. It's a long walk to St. Joe."